Hello, beautiful mamas. As a working mom, sometimes I can really feel scattered, unorganized, or simply just rushing from one thing to another and all over the place. Finding time for myself and finding my sanity can almost feel like an impossible dream. Can you relate? Well, this is why I have created my free Mama's Guide to Creating Balance and Harmony as my gift to you. This guide contains my top 10 tips to creating balance and harmony in your life, as well as 3 beautiful trackers to help you get onto your journey in a fun and simple way. I have found by incorporating daily self-care routines and practices in my life for as little as 5 minutes a day, I am feeling more grounded, centered, and calm. By me tapping into my best version through these practices, I am also a better mom, a better partner, and a better colleague. Well, really, just a better human being in all the ways. So, if this sounds like something that you would like to explore, click on the link in the show notes below and download your free guide today.
We were all born with the innate power of knowing and wisdom within us. The challenge for many of us is that we were taught to seek answers externally instead of searching from within. And this is the reason why so many of us find ourselves going around in circles, searching for new ways, but could never find the way. The womanly way. It's not the way. It's not my way. But it is a pathway to support all of us returning back to self, reconnect with our inner wisdom through loving ourselves, knowing ourselves, and reconnecting with ourselves.
Tell me and be honest. Tell me should I've known.
So we can start to find our own way as modern day women. Are you interested? Well, sit back, relax, and welcome to this amazing journey.
Hello. Welcome to this week's The Womanly Way podcast. I am your host, Lala Angela Wang. So as I am recording this, I'm sitting here getting ready for submission, getting ready to pump some stuff out before the Easter long weekend. And I'm reflecting on some of the conversations that I have had in the office. And one of the topics that have kind of like continuously to pop up lately is the topic of manage upwards. And as you know, I am a manifesting generator, and it is my job really to respond to situations around me. And responding to me really means paying attention to the surrounding and, I guess in a way, decide whether I am going to have an opinion about it, whether I'm going to talk about it, or whether I'm just going to let it go. And manage upwards has been a conversation and a topic that is very, very, very close to my heart. Whenever someone says to me, we feel like that you're very lucky in your career, what I tend to, I guess, respond within me is that yes, in some ways I am very lucky because I listened to my intuition when I made a lot of my key career decisions. But I also think in some sense, perhaps it's got nothing to do with luck, right? Because it's got everything to do with my mindset around work, with me trusting my intuition and being able to make bold moves when I need to. There are times when I didn't make the bold move early enough. And those are the times where I do regret, not moving quicker or not making the decision quicker. But whenever I do make a career decision, I think, especially from that heart place, from the place of, trusting my heart, trusting my intuition, they have never failed me. And that's when I think, yes, I'm very grateful for my guidance, for my connection with divine. And it's where I would say, yes, luck has got something to do with it. But what I've learned over the years where luck has absolutely nothing to do with is when it comes to taking your career seriously and managing your career just like any other project in life that you will manage. And that's why, another topic that I am so passionate about is one of personal branding, because I believe the ability to manage upwards is integral, but also closely linked to building your personal brand. I am known as somebody who is very good at manage upwards, to give my managers the confidence that when they give me something that, one, I can handle it. They can trust that I would always stick through and, get to the end of a task. But they're always, the trust isn't just that I will complete my work. The trust is also that if I get stuck, I'll raise my hand. And that really is the key to manage upwards. So in response to all these things that's been, all these discussions and topics and things that people have come to me or have discussed around me around manage upwards, I really want to dedicate today's episode to managing upwards. And to start, I really want to give you 2 examples of 2 people in similar roles. Similar age, similar experience, but take things very differently in terms of managing upwards. And I will also play out the scenario to the receiving end as a manager. How would a manager or even a manager's manager, how would someone in a senior position view these 2 people in terms of their approach in managing upwards? So person A, the way that she managed upwards is by checking in, right? She would check in and say, hey, I'm not familiar with this. This is something that I'm not sure about. Can you just double check and make sure we're okay? Can we maybe sit down at a meeting and just go through these things that I have already done? She comes prepared to meetings and she goes through her questions in a way that is very constructive and you can give her feedback. She even go one step further and initiated a weekly reporting system where she can report back to her direct manager and to the leadership team the things that she has achieved, the things that she will be achieving for the next week, and perhaps the things that she needs support on. Now, person B does not speak to her manager directly. Well, not that she doesn't speak to her directly, or him or her, but what person B does is essentially she doesn't ask questions, she doesn't ask for support, and it's a very reactive relationship with her manager. So her manager would be calling her regularly to check in on her, and every time the manager says, how are you going? Oh yeah, good. Any issues? Oh, no, all good. Now, to some people, you may say, well, then person B must be easier to manage from a managerial perspective, right? You must think this person is all good. So skipping past, I'm going to skip through and just tell you guys what the end result was. Similar project, similar time frame. Person A managed to tick her goals and her deadlines and her KPIs a lot quicker than person B. Whereas person B had actually missed a few critical deadlines and her KPIs and end up costing the project a delay of almost 2 months in terms of getting key authority approvals in place. And this is a classic example of reporting upwards as managers. There's a fine balance, right? Actually, I'm going to give you a third example. There's person C. Person C wants regular catch-ups with her manager on a weekly basis. In fact, she demanded 2 weekly catch-ups on a regular basis, going over every single thing that she needed support with. And before she does everything, she wanted to chat with her manager, make sure her manager's okay with the decisions that she has made. So I think this is 3 very different scenarios. Whereas I think person A is probably more prepared in terms of what she wants to get out of her manager. And each meeting has got a purpose, right? And it's understanding that your manager's busy and making the most out of every meeting to be constructive. Person B is the other extreme, where she doesn't want people to know that she's not capable, or perhaps she doesn't want to burden other people, or perhaps she doesn't even have an awareness of where she needs help or where she's heading, right? And person C is almost like at the extreme end of the other spectrum, where she wanted someone to hold her hand every step of the way. And I think this is probably a confidence thing in all 3 scenarios. Each person has a different level of confidence in terms of how they perform their work and how they want assistance with, right? And as a manager, also as a middle manager, I guess for my benefit is I can see each person's behavior and I can see the reactions of the senior management above me as well. So when we review these 3 different personality types, obviously person C is a little bit too demanding, in which sense, essentially a single person project, or a project that requires a single person from our team, becomes a project that requires the time of 2. Because every step away, there has to be somebody approving or assisting or giving her a pat on the back and say, person C, you're doing really well, keep going. Yes, I approve of the things that you do. So for us, in that sense, this is a person that has got to a role beyond her current skill set. Not to say that she can't be developed, but really as a organization, from the HR perspective, we would be looking at perhaps giving her a lesser of a role or a more junior role where she can grow into the role that she's stepping into, right? Same with person B. The training is slightly different though. I think the training for person B is going through her scope and going through her roles and responsibilities, understanding the critical factors, and then perhaps looking at, encouraging her to report more. So essentially, what we want to encourage her is to manage upwards. Right, but also taking into consideration that you need to be productive in terms of your management upwards, communicating the expectations both ways. And this is when, feedback and communication is important, and set up a way for her to succeed as well. And this is really when person A weekly reporting system comes in handy, right? Because we can then introduce this reporting system to person B and say, can you report on these criteria on a weekly basis? By now, you probably figured out person A is really the ideal scenario where she would prepare her own thing, give it a go, and then it's really a discussion around what's the best way that would create a win-win situation for the team. In a sense, where is someone may be taking up her manager's time, let's say 90% of the time, person A is probably taking 50% of her manager's time. So in a sense, as a manager, we would prefer, if we have to train somebody, we prefer someone like this because we can let them go and do their tasks and then come back and report to us and then we can review it. Instead of being there every step of the way where we can't really do our own tasks. I think this is where I don't want to use the word beginner, but where what I'm seeing with junior staffing, where quite often it's understanding that your manager their job isn't just managing you. They actually have other things to do as well, right? So by managing upwards with that expectation, then really it's being considerate. Understanding, hey, everyone's time is valuable and I'm valuing your time. So therefore, I have to make the best out of every discussion, every meeting, and find the most effective way to communicate with my manager. And you might be asking, well, why is it important? Why do I care? I think in a sense, it's not you caring about your managers. It's you caring about how that interaction will affect your performance, right? Because if you are effective in managing your manager, essentially you will get better feedback. You will be able to do two things. One is to prove them that you are learning and you're growing and you're capable of doing your job. And two is that you are able to do it without them worry about you all the time. Whereas if we look at the examples that I gave, person B makes their manager worry all the time because they don't know what they don't know. It's not that she's hiding things, it's just that she's not revealing things. And, I think as managers or as people, we generally have this fear of the unknown. So by reporting appropriately, it's removing that fear of unknown in your manager's head. So they know what's going on. And then because they know what's going on, they're able to make appropriate decisions and judgments on the situation. Whereas if we look at the example of person C, it's a matter of too much information. It's a matter of, well, if I'm going to help you do all these things, then I might as well do it myself because it might actually be quicker if I just do it myself. Right? So I guess in a sense, like to understand what's the appropriate level of managing upwards is, number one, by me not reporting, am I creating more angst and stress for my managers? Or are there things perhaps that I don't know that would be a lot more effectively managed if I share this concern with my manager? And this is really with the understanding that your manager's not there to ruin you. They're here to help. They really genuinely, and this is what I truly believe. And of course, whether it's a good manager or a bad manager, that's a complete different scenario and a complete separate conversation, right? But if we just assume all managers are well well-intended, they all have good intentions to see you succeed, then really it's understanding that reporting upwards is to help them help you to be successful. But they can't help you if they don't know what's going on. And number 2, it's about asking yourself, what can I do? What can I do in this scenario to not have my managers thinking, well, if you're asking me this question, I might also do it myself. Right? What are some of the things that I could do to almost like you do a little bit of pre-work, so then they can give you the most effective feedback on the spot. I think that's probably the best way to put it. Instead of going through the whole scenario, working everything out with you, can you take that doing part of them, so then all they have to do is help you make the decision and support you in your decision instead of doing it with you. And I really think, I wasn't natural at managing upwards. Like, it's not an innate gift that I have. But there's a couple of things that has helped me, and I want to share this just in case that it might help you as well. So when I was at uni, our lectures aren't great at teaching us stuff, especially like softwares and things, and we really have to go and explore and find out and do the things and then ask for feedback. I think what that has really taught me is, in order to get helpful feedback, you need to have done the work first, right? Just imagine your managers are like your tutors at university when you're doing a project. If you have nothing to show them, they can't give you feedback. And you can't expect them to do your work for you, can you? So that's pretty much the whole concept of managing upwards, is to get feedback, to get effective feedback, so then you can be better and you can grow in your career, and that will help you grow. But also to establish a reputation of someone who can be trusted, who's trustworthy, who's reliable, and so they can give you more tasks. And really, that's all it is, right? And that's why I truly believe personal branding is linked with your ability to manage upwards, because you are now establishing a reputation within the company of someone who's reliable, someone who's a quick learner, and someone who can be trusted with tasks. Because number 1, they'll get it done. Number 2, if they have a problem, they will let you know, so you never have to worry about them trying to hide the truth. One of the things that my manager talks about, because on every single project when we first started, there's always an internal, like what we call a kumbaya meeting, almost like a get-together HR type meeting, where we try and get the team aligned with our vision, with our purpose, with what's important on the project. And there's this one segment we talked about how your team can help you to be the best version of you, and in return, help the team to be at their best, and then therefore make the project successful. One thing that my manager always say is that honesty is very important to him, right? Because he hates lies. But really what he is saying is, if you're honest with him, then he knows what the problem is, then he can fix it. But if you try to hide the reality, or if you try to lie about it, then we can't fix lies. We can't fix what we don't know, and we can't fix lies. And if we all go into our day-to-day jobs, we go into our lives with the mentality that our managers are there to help and support us? Again, if the person is not a good manager, that's a different situation, right? That's a different conversation altogether, but you'll know whether this person is a good manager or not. Or if you don't, then at least give this concept a go. And if you don't get the right reaction that you wanted, it could be that they're not a good manager, or it could be that you guys are just not aligned. And I think it's time to seek another manager, a different job, right? But if we all go into a job with the assumption that our managers are on our side and really genuinely want us to do well, with the assumption that they're there to help, then there's no point of hiding. There's no point of not saying anything. There's no point of not telling the truth. Because you will gain more by telling the truth, by updating the status, than not saying a thing or hiding things, right? So, how do you manage upwards? Well, I think number one is all about open communication. Have an open communication around how your manager expects you to manage upwards. Think about how you would like to be managed and communicate it that way as well. And don't be afraid to check in, to double check, when I say double check in is if you checked in or if you send them an email and there's no response, follow up. Right? So don't be afraid to check in and don't be afraid to follow up. But also you want to make sure that you are on the driver's seat. It's not your manager come and book in a check-in session with you. It's you being proactive and go, hey, can we check in? I want to see how I am, and these are the questions that I have. It's pretty much like a mentoring relationship. You know, if you listen to the previous episode, you would have heard me saying about, you know, managing mentoring relationships. Some mentees are of the understanding it's their mentor's responsibility to make sure that they check in and make sure that they tick all the goals. But no, it's actually the mentee's responsibility. So it's actually the employee's responsibility to make sure that they get the kind of feedback that they want, to make sure that they get regular feedback, you know, the way that they wanted, in the format that they wanted. But that's all by you. You have to drive your own career. You have to be the one driving your own brand. And I think that's why, for me, I cannot emphasize enough how I believe everybody should treat their career, their job. I refuse to call it a job because my job is actually a career. And that's the difference, right? We can talk about that on a completely different episode. But if you truly desire to treat your 9 to 5 as a career and you're building on it, it's something that you're proud of, and it's something that you believe that fits, you know, what you really want to do as a life purpose, then you bloody should treat yourself as a personal brand, and you should really treat your brand seriously. You should take it seriously, build it like a business, and be the driver on that career path. Because it's quite frankly, it's no one else's business but yours. And if you don't drive it, no one else is going to know how to drive it for you. It's not as much as I believe a manager would generally care about the development and the career of their employees or people that, you know, in their team. It's not their responsibility, because their responsibility is their own career. And if you don't drive it, they should not be chasing you forward. There's no point. Anyone who's been a manager understands there's no point chasing somebody who has just they have no ambition, no drive, and why do we even bloody care? So if you don't show your ambition, if you don't show your drive, you don't even care about your own career, why should we care as managers? So the only way to make sure that you get what you want out of your career, to drive it to succeed is to drive it yourself. Just like everything in life, it's no one else's business, it's no one else's responsibility but yours. Your life, your responsibility. Don't rely on other people. It's like one of my pet hate is when it comes to performance reviews, like, oh, my manager should book in the time with me. I'm like, no. If you want your performance review done and done properly, you bloody go to your manager and say, hey, can we book in a time? So if you did not take away anything from this episode, the key is it's your career. Be the driver of your own career. Because it's your career, it's no one else's business. It's your business. Treat it like a business. Drive it like a business. Manage like a business. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. As per usual, if you have any comment, feedback, things you would like to discuss, or aha moments and what you love, what you don't love, feel free to contact me. You can reach me on all of my socials. All the links are in the show notes, or you can email me on mywomanlyway.com. Sorry, a bit of a tongue twisting. Or you can contact me on mywomanlyway@gmail.com. Love you all so, so, so much. Oh, look at the time, 2:22. On that note, I will leave you to your wonderful day and catch you on the next episode. Thanks, bye.